All right, my loves? All right. Well, Bianca, it is nice to flow with you. I'm not originally from Vermont, but I am from New York, but it's fun to meet someone from Vermont. I don't have very many friends here at all. All right, let's start. So, as I mentioned, this series is called Water. It is a yin series, and we are on part 3. So this series will only go throughout the North American winter. So once it's no longer winter here where I am, we will move on to spring. So we'll be working with a different element. It's not water. And so the postures will be different. We will be talking about a different emotion. Water is connected to the emotion of fear. So you may hear that brought up a lot in this series. And yeah, yin is a beautiful and magical journey that if you have never taken a yin class before, it will definitely change your perspective on a lot of things in life. So whenever you're ready, go ahead and find your way to your mat. Remember, you may need or you may want a block for this class. If you do not have a block, it is totally okay, all right? Blocks are just a fun little prop, okay? It's nothing more than that. You can make a block with anything, right? So if you have a book, those are perfect. I know a lot of people who actually prefer books than blocks. If you have like a chunky little pillow, like this little guy, but perfect. And if you have 2 of these little guys, even better. For a lot of us, blocks can be really painful. A lot of us have very sensitive skin. So if a block is not something that you even want in your practice, use a pillow. Use a blanket. A folded up blanket is just as powerful as a block, okay? But you will want one of those for today's class. So go ahead and find your way to your mat. You're probably already there. You're like, I'm already here. You already told us to come here. And then I want you to just gently sit in whatever seat you'd like. So if you'd like to sit like this, you can. If there's another way you'd like to sit, you can. If you always sit like this and you'd like to change it up a little today, you can switch your regular top foot to the other foot. So just give it a little switch like that. And it's gonna feel weird and it's gonna feel uncomfortable. And I always have to remind myself to do this because even I forget as a teacher, even I forget to switch it up. I go into my habits, go into my same things, and I forget. So here we are, switching legs. Go ahead and actually, instead of bringing your hands to the mat first, bring your hands to your heart. Sometimes I forget that there's new people here all the time, and I'm also just pretty bad at introducing myself. But for anyone who's new here, my name is Janet. I've been teaching yoga for quite some time. I really enjoy teaching classes that are mental and strength building, and that really tap into the traditional teachings and roots of yoga. Because I think as a yoga teacher, it is important to honor where this tradition came from. So we'll greet each other with a namaste. So nice to see you. So nice to play with you again. If you didn't know, namaste means hello in Sanskrit. Sanskrit is the language of yoga. It's not only the language of yoga. That is the language that you hear being spoken in yoga. All right, so go ahead and place your fingertips down on your mat. Take a big deep breath in here. And as you take that big deep breath in, I want you to feel yourself lift up. So feeling your shoulders lift up, feeling your chin lift, your head lift. Gently placing those fingertips on the mat. Taking a moment here to just check in with yourself. Seeing how you feel today. Breathing breathing in and out of your nose at whatever pace you're at today. Maybe you can't even breathe in and out of your nose yet because you're just like, you have a cold and you're like, can't do that. It's fine. Just breathe. Just notice. No judgment. No critiquing. Don't judge yourself because you have a cold and you can't breathe out of your nose. Just breathe. Taking a moment to breathe here, I want you to recognize if anything is coming up for you today. And as things are coming up for you, I want you to notice them, acknowledge them, acknowledge the feeling around the thing coming up, and then let it go. If that thing comes back up again as you're sitting here breathing, I want you to notice it. Don't judge it. Don't change it. Don't critique it. Just notice it again. Acknowledge it again. Recognize the feelings around it again. And then let it go again. For some of us, we have intrusive thoughts, we have OCD, we have things that haunt us. We have trauma, we have PTSD, we have CPTSD, we have things that come up, that haunt our thoughts, that come into our brain, that it feels like a takeover, right? It feels like you have lost control of yourself. You can't stop it, it's just coming. Right? As someone who suffers from a lot of these things, particularly intrusive thoughts, which is a part of OCD, and CPTSD, the biggest help that I have found has been meditation. And a big misconception about meditation is that you have to have no thoughts. Is that true? Meditation is being aware of your thoughts, it's being aware of your breath, and it's learning to focus on the breath, go inward, and clear, calm. It doesn't mean you're going to stop thinking. Doesn't mean that the thoughts are going to stop coming. It just means that you have a better grasp of them. Does that make sense? So now with that little bit of knowledge, I want you to come back to sitting here and breathing, noticing your thoughts, breathing in and out of your nose. And maybe this time you have a different lens. As those thoughts come and go, maybe instead of battling with them, you continue to breathe. You continue to notice. You continue to recognize what it is that's going on with your body. And in that space, can find calm. Remembering that whenever you are meditating, whenever you are challenging your mind, you always should come back to the breath. So you want the focus to be on the breath, not on the thoughts. So breathing in through the nose and out of the nose. In through the nose and out the nose. Challenging your mind to focus on something. Yes, the breath. And in that focusing on the breath, you may start to notice those thoughts, those fears, those worries, those repetitive, just disappear. Breathing in and out of the nose. When you feel like you've had enough, go ahead and take a big, deep breath in through your nose. Breathing in a little bit more air, and a little bit more air, and a little bit more air, holding it there at the top. Maybe breathing in a little bit more air, and a little bit more. And then letting out a nice big audible exhale. Ha. Should feel pretty good. From here, we're just going to take a little bit of micro movements before we come into our first yin pose. So I want you to just start to roll your shoulders back. But when you roll them forward, I want you to really roll them forward. And when you roll them up, I want you to really roll them up. And when you roll them back, I want you to really roll them back. And when you roll them down, I want you to really roll them down. So nice and slow. And you probably look kind of weird. And luckily, no one needs to see that you look kind of weird, because the only person that can be seen here is me. So if you're laughing at how weird I look, it's fine. I'm sure I look like a little insect being born or something. But it's not about the way you look, right? Like, who cares? I don't care if anybody's looking at me. Good, keep looking. I look fabulous. And that's how you should feel too. All right, so switch opposite directions. In a yoga class, no one is looking at you because they are all looking at themselves. And you should take that knowledge with you into the outside world. Nobody is focused on you because they're focused on themselves. And if somebody is focused on you, then they're not doing the inner work and they're not focusing on themselves. Anyways, go ahead and bring your right hand down to the mat. And actually bring your right palm right next to your seat, arm nice and straight. Inhale, lift that left arm up towards the sky. Just hold it there for a moment. Taking a big deep breath in and a big deep breath out. Maybe you just roll your wrists here. And then roll them in the opposite direction. As you exhale, dropping your left hand down to the mat, right next to your seat, right next to your hips, wherever it lands. Flatten your palms to the ground. When I say flatten your palms, I mean spread out all 5 of those fingers as wide as you can. Grip that mat with those hands, spider hands. I don't even know what to call them, spider hands, I don't know. Inhale, lift your right hand up towards the sky. Arms straight up towards the ceiling. Again, just breathing here. Your back, you should be sitting up nice and tall, okay? Your chin should be slightly tucked, but head still lifted and forward. Your arm, your left arm should be nice and straight. Palms spread out wide, right arm up straight towards the sky. And then you can roll out your wrist here. Roll it in the opposite direction. As you exhale, you can go ahead and lower that hand down to the mat as well. Go ahead and take your palms, fingertips facing forward. If you've taken class with me before, you know exactly where we're going. Bring your palms back behind you, fingertips facing towards your seat. Bring your foot to the, I was gonna do a different pose, but I changed my mind. Bring 2 feet down to the mat, knees bent or down to the floor, and just windshield wiper your legs out here. Keep breathing. Oh, and P.S., if you didn't watch Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl performance last night, you 100% should. Especially anyone who is into art and messaging through art. It was an incredible portrayal of that. All right, so moving on, coming on to our knees and our hands here. We're just gonna do a little bit of cat-cows before we come into our first posture. So inhale, lift. In our cow, again, you want your palms spread out wide. You want your wrists under your shoulders. You want your knees under your hips. As you exhale, coming into your cat here. Arch that back, drop that head. Again, inhaling for cow. And exhaling for cat. Inhaling for cow. And exhaling for cat. You can take a moment here to just take any shape you'd like. So if you'd like to move around your hips, you're more than welcome to. If you'd like to gaze over your right shoulder, you can. Gaze over your left shoulder, you can. If you'd like to flip your wrists around, you can take some gentle circles around there. Whatever you prefer, my loves, it is your practice. As much as I like to have a lot of control, I also like to give you a lot of freedom. So go ahead, bring your hands into little fists if you did take those backwards wrist circles. And then you can go ahead and release your palms down to the mat. So you want to bring your palms a little forward here. All right, you're going to slide your right leg back. You're going to slide your left leg back. You're going to take a nice big inhale here. And as you exhale, you're going to lower yourself down in one piece. Elbows go back, not to the side. Okay. Do you see what I mean here? Elbows go back, not to the side. All right? So you want to remember that. In yoga, boop, your elbows are here, not here. All right? So we're here. So I want you to untuck your toes. And you're just gonna inhale, lift for cobra. And then exhale, lower. You can do that 2 more times at your own pace. Inhale, lift for cobra. Exhale, down. One more time, inhale, lift for cobra. Maybe you lift your hands up off the mat. Exhale, lower, down. One more time, inhale. This time when you inhale, you can bring your feet to touch. And I want you to slide your forearms out in front of you. Now, if bringing your feet to touch is too much on your lower back, you can bring your feet as wide as your mat, okay? My only request is that your toes are not tucked, right? So then I want you to bring your elbows right underneath your shoulders here. All right, and your arms are gonna be at a 90-degree angle. Palms are still flat to the ground. You're going to gaze forward with your head slightly lifted, but your chin also slightly tucked. And just breathe. We're in our Sphinx pose, and we will be here for a couple minutes. Keep breathing, my friends. Keep breathing in your Sphinx. I grabbed my watch so that I can time us. Now, the thing about yin. So if you have taken a yin class before, you know the drill. But if you haven't, you might be like, I don't understand what we're doing here. In a yin class, we hold postures for 3 to 10 minutes. These postures are directly connected to meridian lines, which are also referred to as energetic lines or chi, energy, within our body. Now, these certain lines are connected to different elements, which are connected to different seasons. And when you work with these postures that are connected to these lines, you are able to work through certain emotions. So this posture in particular is connected to the water element, which is connected to the emotion of fear. So the longer we sit in this pose, the more mentally uncomfortable it may begin to feel. The more hard it may begin to feel. You might start noticing that your forearms are getting incredibly uncomfortable. Your upper arms are getting incredibly uncomfortable. Keep breathing. You got this. You got this. You may even start to notice that feelings of fear are popping up. Let them. Let them, notice them, acknowledge them, let them go. If you'd like, You can take your arms here and slowly start to lift your torso up, stretching your arms out straight here. Still gazing forward. You're just coming into your seal pose. Now for some of us, this may be way too much on the lower back. If it is, do not do it. Just stay in your Sphinx, okay? This is more for people that need that extra like lift in their back, or for people who want to challenge themselves. Maybe you've never done this posture before. Maybe you want to try it. Maybe you try it for a second and you're like, okay, not for me today, but I will try it again tomorrow. And that's the spirit, babe. That's the spirit, babe. All right, on an exhale, I want you to lower all the way down, all the way down. Use your hands as a pillow here, bringing your forehead flat to your hands. Release your seat, because I know you were clenching that seat. Release your seat. Release your back. Release your arms. Release your legs. Release your feet. Release your upper back, your lower back. Release your neck. And finally, release your head. Breathing in and breathing out. See, it wasn't that scary. On an inhale, I want you to just lift yourself all the way back to a seated position, to where you're sitting back on your heels here. Oops, there goes my scrunchie. Take a moment, take an inhale, take a breath, close your eyes, roll your shoulders back once, take another inhale here. And a big audible exhale out of your mouth. Ha. Breathing in and out of your nose again. This is where you're going to want that little block. So if you have it, grab it. If you don't, you can grab a book, a blanket, pillows, whatever you need. Just roll it up, fold it up. Whatever you got to do to make it into a little rectangle, okay? Just have it handy, all right? So go ahead and bring your feet flat to the mat, knees bent, arms stretched out nice and wide, fingertips spread wide. Take a big inhale here, and as you exhale, slowly start to lower yourself down to the mat. Control, 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 control. Notice how I don't fling down to the mat. Notice how my shoulders are still going. There's my neck, there's my head, okay? I want you to practice doing that too, because the more control you can have as you're lowering yourself down to the mat, which you get that option multiple times in yoga class, okay? It doesn't matter what class you're taking. You do find your way down to the ground at some point in that way. The more control you can have, the tighter your core will be. Core work is directly connected to pelvic floor health. If we have issues with our pelvic floor, if we have issues with our gut, it will impact our entire body, okay? So remember, core work does more than just give you cute abs. It helps in other ways too, all right? So go ahead and bring those feet back to your seat. Maybe you scoot your seat a little closer to your heels. Take your fingers here and see if you can touch the back of your heels. Now, don't go based off of me, because my arms are abnormally long for my body, okay? I have like 6 foot girl arms and I'm like 5'3". Okay, so my hands are gonna touch my heels no matter where my feet go. Like I could go all the way down here and they'll still touch. So yeah, bring your seat pretty close to your heels. And if you still can't touch your heels, but your heels are basically touching your seat, that's okay. You probably just have shorter fingers and arms than I do, and that's okay too. Taking a moment here, bringing your palms flat to the mat, gently tuck your chin in a little bit. You can even close your eyes here if you'd like. On an inhale, lift your seat up towards the ceiling and just hold it there for a moment. Taking a breath in, and on your breath out, slowly lower down little by little. You want your upper back to touch the mat first. You want your lower back, your sacrum, your tailbone to touch the mat last. Try to keep your hands flat to the mat. Again, inhale, lifting that seat up. Taking a breath here. And as you exhale, lowering it down again. Breathing in and breathing out. This next time, I want you to take an inhale, lift that seat up, grab your prop, and slide it right under your seat. Breathe. You're here. You don't have to do anything else for like 5 minutes. Breathe. For some of us, it may help ground us more by placing our hands on our hips, okay? Use the tools you've got. You want to ground yourself more. This isn't like a masochistic like competition of like who can do more things to suffer. Like that's not what we're doing here. Like you want to be grounded. You want to be calm. You want to feel good. Okay? Sometimes by feeling good, you have to do something uncomfortable. Yin can sometimes make you feel crazy, uncomfortable, stressed out for those 3 to 10 minutes. And then all of a sudden, you feel the best you've felt in weeks. Sometimes a little bit of hard work goes a long way. We're going to be here for a couple minutes. So if you get lost in yourself, if you start feeling like, I don't know where we are, I don't know what we're doing, I'm panicking, I don't know what to do, is she frozen, is the screen frozen, why is no one saying anything? That's okay, just breathe. I'm still here, I'm not frozen. I'm just zenning out with you guys, breathing. remembering that if you are starting to panic here, if you feel tons of anxiety come up, if you feel tons of fears coming up, tons of worries, tons of all these things, you're just feeling super overwhelmed, your breath is getting really rapid, you're like panicking. Place those hands on your hips. Take a big deep breath. Focus on the breath going in your nose and the breath coming out of your nose. All right. You are in a safe space. Remember to breathe. As a child, I struggled with severe asthma. And something that I noticed with having that ailment my whole life was that when I got scared, when I started hyperventilating, when I started leaning into the chaos of the asthma attack, right? When I let it control me and I got more scared and more intense and more hyperventilated, when I really leaned into the chaos, my asthma attacks would get worse and I would end up in the hospital. After becoming a yoga teacher, after learning breathwork and meditation at a more profound level, my mom had always taught me this stuff growing up, but learning it for myself from a different lens, not from a parent lens. I really learned how to breathe and how to calm myself. And I realized that in those moments when your breath is really getting crazy and it's really causing you to start to hyperventilate and get upset, your mind starts to trick you and tell you that it can't calm down. Turn off that voice. Turn that voice down. And just remember what the breath tells you. The breath tells you you can slow it down. And so instead of leaning into the chaos, lean into the softness, lean into the breath. Now, for some of us with severe asthma, leaning into the breath, you may still have an asthma attack. You may still need an inhaler, you may still need to go to the hospital, whatever that is. You may still need assistance. But you are working with the energy and not against it. Okay? So remember, when your breath starts to pick up, when you start to freak out, when you start to hyperventilate, quiet that voice down and start to breathe nice and slow. Even if it feels like nothing is happening at first. When you've had enough of this, you can go ahead. Now, I'll give you two options here, okay? You can take your block out from underneath you. Actually, you know what? Take your block out from underneath you. Bring your back flat to the mat here. Bring your knees out wide and your feet touching. And just take a moment here to breathe. Noticing what that feels like. On an inhale, slowly start to make your way up to a seated position. We're just going to come right over our legs here. And instead of coming into your tabletop, it looks like I'm coming into a tabletop, I'm not. Bring your knees as wide as your mat and bring your heels to touch. Here, lifting your arms forward so your palms are flat to the mat. Your knees are wide, your toes are touching, okay? On an inhale, go ahead and lift your left arm up towards the sky, or whichever arm. It can be your left arm, it can be your right arm, whichever you prefer. Now when you lift it up towards the ceiling, I really want you to lift it up. And as you exhale, you'll sweep it through, sweep it under, and come down into a child's pose. Now you might want to sink your hips back further into your heels because they may have moved forward. And then you can take that right arm or whichever arm is forward and just stretch it out on here. Breathe. I know I'm really putting you guys in some postures that might be whoo today. But it's okay. Just breathe. I gotcha. Remember, you can always close your eyes. And if closing your eyes is too triggering for you, you can always just gaze down the bridge of your nose. Not a big deal. Keep breathing, my friends. You got this. We'll only be on this side for like 2 more minutes. Not even. So on an inhale, I want you to slightly bring your right arm back. Taking an exhale here. And on your next inhale, you're going to bring that left arm back up towards the ceiling. Dropping it down to meet the right. On your next inhale, maybe you just take a breath here in between. I like to do a little reset breath, a little. Inhale, lift that right arm up towards the sky. So nice and straight here. I mean, I'm really lifted. Like I feel it in the back of my shoulder, right? And as you exhale, slide it through, dropping your right ear down to the mat and sliding those hips back to your heels. I mean, for some of us, it's just natural. We're going to move and we need to adjust. Not a big deal. Take your left arm, walk it up to the front of your mat. Now, if you did the other side first, that's okay. If you did this side first and you need to do the other side now, that is okay. Just breathe. Just do it. Just do the thing. If you don't even remember and you're like, I don't know what the F I did, that's okay too. You're good, boo. You're good. Just breathe.
For some reason, I feel like it always goes faster on the second side. Always goes faster. Breathing in and breathing out. You have less than a minute here. On an inhale, start to bring that right arm up towards the sky. And as you exhale, bringing it down to meet the left. Bringing your knees to touch here. Let's see, how many more minutes do we have left? Not that many. Okay, we'll squeeze in one more pose here. Go ahead and bring your feet out from underneath you. Stretching your legs out long here. Go ahead and just tap your legs out. Inhaling, sitting up nice and tall. Taking a nice big exhale here in your staff pose. Ha. Again, inhaling, this time lifting your arms up towards the ceiling. And as you exhale, just gently coming over your legs. You can grab onto your feet here if that feels good. Now, if you've taken classes with me before, you might notice that today I'm not leaning over as much as I usually do. Do you want to know why? Because today my body is sore and it just doesn't want to go that far. It just does not want to do that today. It's like, no, this is my limit. This is as far as I can go today, and this is what I'm doing today. And if you push me any further, you might push me into injury. And so I said, okay, bud, I get it. I'm here. I'll stay right here. And if I feel like I can move a little further, I will, but I can't. So I won't. Because I am listening to you. Because you are telling me that today is not the day. And so today is not the day. And when it is the day, I'll be there. But I take my cues from my body. Okay? Sometimes our fear tries to tell us what to do. But we don't have to listen to our fear. We can listen to our intuition. We can trust our gut. We can use fear as a vehicle and as a clue to what we need to face and what we need to work on. On an inhale, you can slowly make your way back to seated position. Maybe roll your shoulders out one more time here. Maybe dropping your chin to your chest. And just giving yourself a nice little neck roll. Coming through to the other side. When you're ready, dropping those feet down to the mat. Knees bent, arms stretched out long in front of you, palms wide. This is your chance. Go down, nice and slow with control. Hold on tight. Hold on tight. Your feet are going to want to lift. Don't let them. Your body's going to want to fling itself to the ground. Don't let it. You can do 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 it. Did you do it? Did you do it? Maybe you did it. Maybe you didn't. But if you tried, nice job. Okay? So now that you're there, you can stretch your left leg out long. You can stretch your right leg out long. You can stretch your left arm out long. You can stretch your right arm out long. If you'd like, you can tuck your shoulder blades underneath you to kind of relieve a little bit of pressure off that lower back. Because some of us, we have a seat, okay? We got a big seat. and we need it. Tucking your chin into your chest. You can close your eyes or gently gaze down the bridge of your nose. Taking a big inhale here, the biggest inhale you have taken all day. Breathing in a little bit more air and a little bit more air and a little bit more air, holding it there at the top. And letting out a nice big audible exhale. Ha. Gently closing the mouth. Breathing in and out of your nose. If you need to, you can place your hands on your hips to feel a bit more grounded today in your Shavasana. Remembering to breathe here and enjoy the last couple minutes of your practice. Taking the time to rest after all of the hard work that you did today. It is not easy in our society to take time for ourselves, but it is necessary and it is crucial. Self-care is not optional. It is required. So if you are noticing that there are areas in your life that take away from you, that take away from this one beautiful life that you have been given, that take you away from the gift of self-care, maybe start to question if that is the place for you anymore. And maybe start to envision, where is the place for you? And what does that place look like? What does it feel like? What does it smell like? What do you look like in that space? How do you act in that space? Take that imagery. Build that dream. And when this class is over, when we say our goodbyes and you step out of this class, I want you to step into that existence. I want you to step into that version of you that you created here. I want you to step into that life. Don't question how it'll happen. Don't question when it'll happen. Just start to live as if you are already that person. As if you already have all of those things. And your fear may be telling you, that's crazy, that's ignore it. Let it talk, acknowledge it, let it go. This is your life. Never forget that this is your life. And regardless of what society has told you, regardless of what society has showed you, regardless of how old you are, regardless of how young you are, regardless of how educated you are, this, that, wealthy, poor, whatever you are, you deserve the best. You deserve a life that is beautiful and happy and peaceful and full of love. You deserve to be provided for. You deserve to have your basic needs met. Regardless of what anyone tells you. Remember this. Remember that you are loved and you are deserving. Remember this as you walk into the world. Step into the version of you that is the real you.
and don't let anyone stop you. When you're ready, slowly roll over onto one side. Roll over onto your left side, which is your yin side. It is your relationship to the moon. It is the relationship to your inner emotions. It represents the relationship to the women in your life. It represents the relationship to yourself. Laying there for a moment on your left side, I want you to just see how you feel now. Maybe you feel different. Maybe you feel the same. Whatever that is, I just want you to notice it. Don't critique it, don't judge it, don't change it, don't do anything to it. Just leave it alone. Just notice it, observe it, acknowledge it, let it go. And then I want you to gently make your way up to a seated position. You can keep your eyes closed if you like, but I am going to show you a card, so you might want to open them just for a second. Today's card is from the Hollow Valley's Sigil Oracle deck. I've been pulling these cards for the last couple classes. I'll keep pulling them until the deck is finished. But today's sigil says dark, murky inner work, which I think is a perfect affirmation or oracle card for today's class. So you can screenshot this. You can quickly draw it out on your palm. You can print it out. You can set it on fire, whatever you'd like to do today. You can take this affirmation with you, dark, murky inner work, right? That's what we're doing. We're doing the dark work. Bring your hands to your heart center. Drop your chin down to your chest. Gently close your eyes or gaze down the bridge of your nose. Bring your thumbs to your third eye here and take a moment to thank yourself for taking the time for you today. I know I've been saying this every class, but now more than ever, it is important to prioritize yourself and your self-care. So thank you. As always, the light in me honors the light in each and every one of you. Thank you again, my friends. What a fun class. I don't know. I really enjoyed it. Just pop back to life. Hello. I hope you guys did too. Oh my gosh, it wasn't the Roomba. It was a snowplow guy. Because we got so much snow last night. Thank you, Surya. Let me know if I said that wrong, Surya. Thank you. Not Roomba. Although she has done that before. She's so rude. Like, she never turns on when I turn her on, and then she just, boop, decides to turn on during my yoga classes. I'm like, why are you doing this to me? Like, why? Why? The universe is always messing with me. You guys will notice this. The universe is always messing with me. And it's just little lessons for me to learn how to not be a perfectionist, learn how to adapt to change better. I'm a Gemini. I'm supposed to be able to adapt to change really easily, but I have a Virgo moon. So I like stability. I like when things are the same. But, you know, I got to learn the balance. So I feel like, oh yeah, she's so annoying. She's so annoying. And then, like, sometimes me and my partner will be talking and she'll come in between us and start knocking into our legs. And I'm like, hey, Daddy, Roomba wants your attention. She's mad.